he was the only one who could execute on them consistently. The LPL couldn't do it because they'd be like, oh, we can totally take this fight here. And sometimes they'd be right, but a lot of times they'd be
does
wrong.
not believe in split pushing. I'm sorry, what? Not team fighting?
Well, split pushing is just really, in the eyes of LPL top laners, split pushing is just a series of protracted 1v1s, and that's, like, palatable.
Hell of a lot of fun.
God bless the LPL. I love that region. But we get a lot of that energy here.
Former LPL commentator Matt Niberia Clendaniel, who I'm checking my notes here, enjoys the LPL.
What? That's ludicrous.
What?
Find me one quote that says that within the past 2 hours.
On it.
All right. Well, while TJ's looking at that, this is a really weird mid lane thing that's happening.
Yeah, so Avi is not here. You might be like, why not? And it's because Kenvi did like a fifth of his HP on a spear just on timer.
Wild.
As soon as he arrived in the mid bush, he just got chonked.
I like that Nidalee skin. I like the Halloween skins. All of them.
Okay, talk to me about it. What's good about that Nidalee skin?
She's got a witch's broom, and that's cool. Cause she can sweep up after she beats her opponents into the dust.
All right.
Look at the hat. Look at the hat on the cat.
Oh my God! Great reasoning.
That's the reason. God, it's the reason I bought that skin. I was like, I can get a cat with a hat. I'm in. All right. All right. Yeah.
Oh,
look at that.
Producer Joe.
Look at that
with the cat hat cam. Oh, hell yeah.
The cat hat cam. Hi, I'm Matt Niberia Clendaniel. I'm here with Challengers Uprising and the cat hat cam.
Matt, I understand there's been a high population of cat hats on the cat hat cam. Can you get back to me on that?
Yeah, we've seen at least one cat that is not wearing a hat. That's Yumi. That's why she's a useless and terrible champion, and I hate her, because she doesn't have a hat. Nidalee, on the other hand, bewitching Nidalee, has a hat on the cat.
And would you say this improves their chances in the team fights?
At least 20%.
Fantastic. Now over to our top lane. Tenacity.
Now back over to Rafa and the lads for some analysis.
They'll take it. Go.
That's true. Gotta be careful. Not right now, Rafa. Not right now, lads. I should actually call them their names. Zax and Covey are just like, we have names too, alright? It's not just Rafa. We're going solo.
Look, we know what happens in one direction. The top and bot lanes are kind of opposite stories. Tenacity starts things off by hard pushing in the top lane and just shoving things down versus the Malphite. Bot side, Eon's just spending his time hard camped, already down to half HP, him and Auto both in that fight.
Yeah, and the thing about this lane is, once Severum is gone, there is no more sustain for this Aphelios, which is why he's playing so carefully with it, trying to get as much healing out of it as possible, waiting for the poke, using as much health regen as possible. Oh, no! I was like, just keep talking through that point, it'll be fine. There's no way they get the kill through a bunch of minions. Andy Bende and Cow showing me that I'm wrong.
Yep. Radiance finds a big opener. Off of it has to be said some hubris from Eon.
Yeah, Eon having a lot of trouble there. Oh.
We're back to the cat hat cam.
Yeah. There's a cat with at least one hat up towards the top side of the map. Why is Otto staying here? Oh, that's why.
That's why. He's still got the Haymaker in the back, and with the flash forward, they've got the full engage. Andy down to a sliver of HP, will fall. Gravitum for a cow, and the false cat, the hatless cat, will be executed. Eon with a casual Gravitum doesn't even need to look.
That was so mean. I love it. That was just cruel and unusual punishment there. But that's really, really bad for Radiance now.
That's huge, yeah, for 100 Thieves.
Yeah, double kill on your AD carry who was down something like 20 farm. And the 2 kills in the bottom lane went onto Cow for Radiance. It's looking a little bit rough. That is the Fiendish Codex picked up though, so it's a lot of AP and CDR.
I was going to say, I'm not sure I entirely agree with you there, because if the bot lane sinks, it is Cal who can get out.
Yeah.
Right? It is Cal who can abandon that ship and hop onto Abby, which is, of course, why this is happening. Kenvi continually invading, making sure Avi, with that Yumi especially, isn't a late game threat.
Look at this vision heat map on the minimap. It's pretty. I like that. Uh-oh. Cow's in trouble. Anybody should be able to shift out. Doesn't have any summoners left.
The Graviton route is huge. Eon keeps him trapped there. They'll lose their support for it, but they'll take that trade any day of the week. And Avi with the cat attack will flash in.
The flash forward. Yod has the healing from Severum now. There's no way they turn this. The teleport in. There's the damage from the Jace. There goes the second cat. Get out of here, hatless cat. The Hat Cat's here to take you back.
And that bot lane is sinking. Just as we were talking about it, but I don't see any driftwood to hop to. I don't see, with Avi getting dropped out, with his jungle being mined, this is a massive early game for 100 Thieves, and that's exactly what we set up as their victory condition. Radiance, with their big team fight in the mid-game, are now going to be too weak to win that. Right? They're not even losing CS in the top lane, where Engro has been hard shoved behind his turret the whole time.
Yeah.
This is just massive for 100 Thieves.
This is a really rough game. This is really rough now for Radiance. Because they are going to have so much trouble getting back into this. Like you said, CS differential in the top lane is such that even shoving out a full lane by yourself isn't going to get you even again. But actually it's like top 5 in solo queue or something. So there's not a chance he really loses this lane without some intervention from the rest of the map. And it's not going great on that front. Yod's alone.
Why is he there?
I'm gonna be honest, TJ, I don't know.
It's ridiculously far forward. There's no support anywhere nearby. Andy Bendy says, thank you very much. As part of my 5 a day. Complete breakfast. Second part of a complete breakfast is, of course, the Infernal Drake, which he'll take now as copy. And God Bull in the mid lane.
Oh, there's the shockwave to follow it up. The jump in from Engo. There's the kill. Shut down and an Infernal Drake going over to Radiance, and they're back in it, TJ. The hell is going on this game?
I do not know. Radiance swing the bot lane again. Off the mistake from 100 Thieves in a quick Drake timing. Now Engo is in trouble by his own ultimate.
Tenacity goes in, steals the ultimate, and gets the damage. He's got the heals. One last auto. That was so BM from Tenacity. Did you see how long he waited before that last auto?
There's a lot of that going around. That's just revenge for what happened in the bot lane.
Oh. Alright, and now Cat Hat gonna be going for that Rift Herald. Should be able to solo that, no problem. Gonna be no contestation from Engo, who is now down almost 30 full CS. That is rough.
Yeah, he's been consistently bullied in the top lane, and I think that has to be a major narrative here for Radiance, is they are not going to have that Malphite presence no matter what happens in the rest of the map. And I'm still not convinced that Avi has undug the pit he fell into at the very beginning of this game. I think you're about to start seeing Kenvi really show up on the map as he's now hit his Dark Seal. He's ready to go with that Rift Herald. You're going to start seeing him show up and pressure these lanes, and I don't think Avi can trade for it.
No, Avi's being just out-pressured right now. Maybe looking for an invade here onto the top side of the map. They've committed 3 up here. Not sure what they're trying to get, though, at this point, because there's no objectives left. The only thing that's really worth fighting over is first tower. I don't think this scuttle is worth committing this many for.
100 Thieves is... Oh, Kenvi. This is despair. Now he's in trouble? Okay. Flash will take him the same thing.
No ultimate from Engo for the next, 10 seconds, so that wasn't really going anywhere anyways. Even if it were worth fighting over. Radiance do get it, though, so I guess I can shut up, because result-based analysis tells me I'm wrong, but oh my god, Andy Bendy's in trouble. The ultimate comes out, Pulse Fire, gonna get the kill!
The exhaust just takes the odd right out to the fight. He can do nothing. That's damage reduction for you, and Copy's in trouble as well in the mid lane. Radiance are just getting started.
I love this game so far. This is wild. Both teams are just going for the throat at every opportunity, and it's so fantastic.
You were missing the LPL, so we brought a little bit of it here. We brought
Oh,
a little
all
bit
this for me?
to the NA amateur scene.
100 Thieves, you didn't need to.
Oh, but they did. And they're going to keep needing to if they want to win this series. Radiance pushing them to the limit right now. This top lane is still a good mark for 100 Thieves, but they have decidedly lost that bot lane superiority they earned so early.
Yeah, I was trying to take stock for a second, right? Go down the scoreboard, see where everyone's going, and this top lane really is the only sore spot for Radiance, and that's the reason you put Engo on Malphite. If you know Tenacity has the chance that they're just gonna absolutely pop off, you say, all right, Engo, your strength is in your team fights, your strength is in the communication with me. You don't need to win fancy, flashy, crazy 1v1s. You don't need to be the shot. You can just be Engo. Just vibe, my dude. And it comes to team fights, and you'll get in there, you'll ultimate, and we'll get the kills. And they're playing to that win condition beautifully. They're just saying, Engo, just don't die. So far, he's only died once, which honestly, pretty good.
I was going to say, how are the vibes?
They're chill, DJ. They're chill.
He is struggling in this lane though, and he's about to lose his turret. And this is a really good investment by Kenby. They're going to be able to kill the wave and just take the turret real easily. And
this is the only spot they can make free, right?
Yeah. Well, it's
You're
the
not
only
touching
spot
mid.
100 Thieves are having any progress, so it's just really good shot calling to know exactly how and where to invest this, because they can carry this into a full jungle flare like we're seeing. And sure, there's bot lane pressure, but it's not going to take the turret.
No. We'll get a lot of poke damage. There's the final chapter. This is a hard committal. And they find auto.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. He's just sitting in.
He just burns the Ragnarok, says, you're not going to grab it to me. Flashed underneath the turret. Easy pickings for Avi.
I love the way Avi's playing this Olaf, because so many Olafs you'll see, oh, I'm gonna just engage with the Q, see where it goes. If I get the slow, I'll just like walk at him. Avi's like, no, come here. Flash, then the Q, then the E, then the auto. You're not getting away. Starts every engage that I've seen with a flash, and I respect that. It means he can only engage once every 5 minutes, but my god, those engages are a beautiful thing.
And that turns into the second rank for Radiance. And that undoes everything we were just talking up. Sure, you have a turret advantage, but Avi is still finding things despite his early game, despite the punish that's coming through from Kenby. Radiance are staying in this match.
The Radiance need to avoid Tenacity as much as possible. He's the big X factor for 100 Thieves. He's got the Malphite ultimate. If Young even tries to defend this turret, I'm pretty sure he does. Like,
Wants wave clear.
alright, Ludens is enough. Because if you step up against that, you're in a whole lot of trouble. Engo going in for the engage here. Unstoppable Force blown. Jan, once again, so far forward.
Auto's trying to roam in, but this is the second time we've seen Jan almost die to some, frankly, very silly positioning. This time they don't quite have the damage. Avi doesn't have flash, so he can't close the kill.
They force a teleport art, so they're like, I guess we're pushing bot now? I guess we're contesting jungle?
Avi? Probably staying safe here. You can see how much Kenby is pulling the jungle. I do want to highlight that for 100 Thieves. Even if they're like behind in the bot lane, they have never once ceded jungle control.
Absolutely. Engo has to flash away. Still alive, though, somehow. 1 versus 4. Andy Bendy and are trying to take on Tenacity with the help of Cal. They may be able to do it. They have a lot of damage here. Just one more auto. Come on, Andy. You can do it. The heal's not enough.
What a good play. Radiance don't lose Engo. He got out of that bot lane fight with a sick flash. And in the top lane, Andy Bendy target calls and correctly takes down Tenacity, who is farming into a monster. And we're still going. Copy, what are you up to?
Young with the flash away into the shockwave, takes down Copy. Kenby tries to save the mid laner with a chase down. The unstoppable force isn't available, but the Ragnarok sure is. Kenby gonna make a way out of that. Jukes away, has the heal. Auto going in for the re-engage now. Oh, the dive in. Avi's in trouble, gets shut down, and Kenby still alive.
I do not know what is happening. Radiance keep us going, both with promising pickups and then a full in down the mid lane from Copy. I do not have the processing power required to analyze this game right now.
It's a lot. It's just a lot of video games, TJ.
Yeah, the quantity of gameplay is very high.
Yeah. There's a whole lot to talk about. And the
Big
biggest thing I want to talk about right now is how dead Andy Bendy is.
I thought he might get out, but Kenby had read that so well.
There's no way you get out. That's the only way this Nidalee is effective here, is if you catch out Andy Bendy. And so far, Andy had been doing a fantastic job of avoiding that. But after that fight, it's jungle control.
No, I'm hearing some like whispering. I think it's in Chinese. The ghost of the LPL. Uzi's died and he's come here, and we're just having team fights all over the place. Star AD carries carrying this game for Radiance. But this
We're being haunted by aggression.
This will be the second Rift Herald picked up by 100 Thieves. 2 Drakes to Radiance, 2 Rift Heralds to 100 Thieves. Shows how split this game has been. Because at every point where an objective has been picked up, it has been off of complete map control. So it's like, oh, of course they get that. They're in complete control of the map right now. It's just
but
alternating.
It's swapped so many times that it happens to be 4 objectives for which you said that. For 2 different teams. I do believe, though, TJ, that the spirit of the LPL is actually a ghost. Because every time I watch an LPL player do something, I just imagine there's someone whispering in their ear saying, "You win these." Because that really just describes the way they play macro and micro. It's just like, I bet I can win this 1v2. And like, that's the play. Auto.
Does it flash? Yeah. There's only one LPL team fight. It just possesses different players at various times.
Ning! Ning! Slash it into 5. but spirit of the LPL, there's nobody here. It's just me. Do it.
This team fight, Matt, is huge because this is Drake coming up. And for the first time, nobody has map control. This is split 50-50.
This is terrifying, and 100 Thieves are either going to get the dragon or they're going to get the fight here.
What are you doing in the river, Shelly? He's going home.
Bye, Shelly. Nice knowing you. Watch Radiance get absolutely popped here by the ultimate from Tenacity.
There it is! All the way in with the absolute there. He's moving by the final chapter. Tenacity's got Copy top 5 in AK title. He's right in the middle of his fight. And he's gone. And Andy Bendy from the back of the team fight is fighting pick after pick after pick.
I never should have doubted you, Andy.
Oh my god.
He dives in. He's so aggressive. He finds Auto. He's chasing it down. He's looking for Yawn. He's looking for Kenby, but not going to be able to find it just yet. My god. Sorry, Andy. You know, it had been a while since we talked, and I just wasn't sure if you were still the same player I remembered, but just watch this team fight and you'll know. He's the same.
What's this fight? You correctly called this all these would be huge. No thank you, says Yumi. No thank you, says Andy Bendy. Full disengage. Back-to-back CP. Final chapter sorts out the fight. Copy can find nothing. He's trying to spearfish in the middle of a desert. There's no fish, man.
There isn't even an ocean here. Why are you looking for fish? Well, I've got a fishing rod.
That's the fishing rod into the sandbat. That's not how it works, even in the best scenario. And Radiance, I feel like we maybe brushed over this. They got the Drake as well.
Yeah, and this is something I wanted to talk about earlier.
You know who picked up the Drake, Matt?
Yeah. We fished the Drake out of the desert, boss.
How got it?
Oh.
with the final chapter, I think. But honestly, I need another replay.
Hey, boss, you know how sometimes our cats bring us, like, dead birds and stuff? Yeah? This one brought us a dragon.
Just showed up at the door one day with a dragon in its mouth. You're like, thanks.
Where did you get this? What have
This
you been
cat-
doing? Why
this
do I
cat
allow
does
you
never have
outside?
that. Oh, here it is, here it is. Producer Joe with the replay. Oh my god.
Yep.
It was Smite in the final chapter. Avi missed Smite.
That's what the support's for. Cow's got him. Oh, Andy, this might be a little too aggressive even for you. Oh, there's the double stun. I think they're dead here.
Yeah, full engage. Andy's just gone, and that's huge. They'll try and be a heal up, but it's a double kill already to 100 Thieves. They'll get more. A triple for Eon on the back line, and it's going to get even worse. You can see Young barely surviving. This game is impossible to trap. It's zigging and zagging, Matt. It's got better dodges than Enko on the Malphite.
Hold on, I'm just taking notes, TJ. They'll be used later.
Why were they in the mid-river like that? Oh my god, Enko's gonna get a kill! Tid actually just wanders into the jungle with no vision, and now this Baron Seg's actually kind of threatened. Enko in the area, Matt.
No ultimate, though. Only thing he can do is in flash and Q as he's trying to go for the steal, but doesn't look like it. True shot barrage. Not quite going to find the steal there from Andy Bendy.
The goal was just the bait. It was just a vision. As many Malphites are, he was literally a ward.
He doesn't do anything.
He did just save Young, so we shouldn't be blaming him too hard. Radiance. I don't know how to track the progression of this game. They win several fights and then they just throw everything in the mid-river. 100 Thieves bring back the Baron. And now they have the gold lead once more, and with the Baron imperative, you can imagine this is going to be a hard jump.
This is a complicated game to track, and I'm going to put it in a way that boils it down but makes it sound really not kind. Which ADC is out of position first has been the game so far. Because if you remember, a lot of the turns in the early game in Radiance's favor were off Yawn overextending in the bottom. And that was where a lot of the pickups came from Radiance. A lot of the damage came in from Radiance was, okay, they don't have an AD carry now. Now we can take Dragon. Now we can fight for this. Now we can do this. And from here on out, the way they lose is if Andy Bendy gets caught out like that again. Because you do have a lot of disengage in fights with a fully stacked Yumi, with the Ezreal when everything's up. But you should not be using that outside of those team fights. And that's what happened towards the Baron. That is why Andy and Avi and Cow died, was because they had to blow everything to try and get Andy and Cow out of a 2 versus 5. And that should never be happening. You should never be in that position, and that's sort of what the game hinges on from here on out. Is just like, all right, can we get a pick on someone? Because these straight-up team fights are now dangerous for the side of Radiance because of the huge lead 100 Thieves have amassed for themselves. 4K in gold, and that is a 2-item Aphelios. That's a lot of damage to be pumping out.
100 Thieves will get this drink. That's their first of the game, and it's big. It denies soul. But you're absolutely right to draw the attention towards Eon, because he is the carry threat that is stepping up here towards the second half of this game. We talked about Bendy so much, and oh my lord, I'm going to hold this sword. Also, all the way into the back line. He's got the suplex, and he's got to actually the back buff.
Andy Benny's still alive though in the back of this fight. He may be able to find one. Jumping back into the front of the fight. They've taken out the pick. They're trying to disengage now. Avi blown the ultimate. The shockwave flashed away from by Yawn. Andy Benny still in the front of the fight. Still has plenty of HP to work with thanks to that Yumi. They should be able to kite this one out. Nice and clean.
The Baron play.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, that poke. But also, what's this? Behind the turret, he found it and he has to dash away, but he saved it right for that spear. What good play, and now they have to slow. You're not going anywhere also. You are not escaping this Yumi-empowered Ezreal. Andy Bendy is here to play, and he's going to chase now.
Chasing on has a lot of moves from the command dissonance and from the zoomies. He's just chasing in. Yawn solo on health, just 1 HP away The Yumi secures it with the Q. Andy Bendy trying to chase forward, but doesn't have that E available just yet. Off the back of that fight, Radiance. I sound like a broken record, TJ, because Radiance are back in it.
Into the Baron. 100 Thieves get a little bit too dancey, and Radiance just punish it. That was crazy engage from Auto. That's the kind of thing you do when you're used to being ahead, I guess. That's the kind of thing you do when normally 100 Thieves, they're knocking on the base door, they have 2-3 level lead. You don't right now, and you particularly don't over Andy Bendy.
No, and once again, Jan got just taken out in the back of that fight. Wasn't able to put out the damage in the front of it. It was just beautiful turns coming out from the side of Radiance. Oh boy. Can be almost 100 to 0's Young in a tournament.
He plays that so well, Matt.
Unfortunately, it just didn't matter.
It is a disservice that that kill goes over because Young played that perfectly.
That's the danger when you're playing against a really good Nidalee, though. 2-0 and 11, Lichbane, Holy Grail, plus a completed jungle item. That's a ton of damage. That's a ton of burst. If you get picked off by that spear, I really like this. I really like this, actually, from the client, because it means we focus entirely on the hat. And then when she turns into a cat, she's still got the hat. So...
It's a great demonstration. The client's actually shortening Kenvi to demonstrate how much he's smurfing on fools this game.
They just forgot the blue tint, but you know what? In the next patch, we'll make sure it gets in there.
Hey, Kenvi! Absolutely destroying them. Attacking the hat, dropping some sick rhymes, and this is all off of the early jungle invades we saw, right? They just power farmed Kenvi into this match. He hasn't died yet. He's the thing that Radiance need to be trying to take out, I think.
Yeah, this reminds me of, and this is going to be a really deep cut for you LCS fans out there, Crash. When Crash first made it into the LCS, he Flame Horizon someone on Nidalee jungle. Straight up 100 CS over the enemy jungler. Because he just power farmed. She is such a strong power farming champion, and that's what Kenvi's trying to do here. Not quite that level of dominance in terms of farm, but... definitely has a huge gold lead. 50 CS up over Avi. Flying cat in the hat!
Good cams. This will be Baron. Baron is up right now, and that is, of course, what this fight is for. Andy wants to get in here. Final chapter. That's huge.
Jan is stunned up. Andy's out of the back. That's a dead Avi in the meantime, but 1 for 1. 80 carry for jungler. This means Baron's off the table for Radiance. They could get the re-engage. The ultimate goes a little bit short. No, it finds the knock-up. The shutdown coming in from Cal. The cat coming in big. Cat-on-cat violence out here, TJ.
Andy, the last gold bender, comes in despite this game, despite Radiance being in the deficit the entire game. He's here to step up. This is one of the most proactive Yumis I've ever seen from Cal, and it has been damn near perfect.
Yeah, it's actually been incredibly impressive. Oh no, Young's in trouble. Doesn't have the Zonias, I don't believe. No, still has it actually.
He's got his pet cat.
Oh boy. It's just, there we go. I'm just waiting, TJ. Not even gonna call it. We're just watching Copy live with his mistakes.
We're done with him.
Yeah, and this has kind of been the theme, right? Just getting picked out in the middle of nowhere, Copy going for these crazy 1v1s. Speaking of Tenacity versus Avi, that's a 1v1 I did not expect to see at any point during this game.
But the Drake, they have this flank. Look at the positioning of 100 Thieves right now. They cannot fight this. They're gonna need to, yeah, back is the right call. Radiance just locked down the ocean zones. This is, despite everything, their game to lose. And I do not believe I am saying that. What a game one this has been.
Absolutely. I mean, from here on out, I would normally hesitate to fathom a way that Radiance lose with Ocean Soul with this composition.
Yo.
Because that much healing on a composition that's already built around the Yuumi healing, that's already built around the shielding coming out from the Orianna as well, you expect that sustain to just put them over to the edge to the point where Andy will just never die in these fights. That's probably true, but we have seen all kinds of crazy fights coming out this game. 5v5 team fight, never heard of them. We've seen all kinds of flanks, all kinds of ganks, all kinds of picks coming off the back of Kenvi, and I think that's going to be the way back into the game for Radiance. It's just one more pick.
All around this Baron now. Radiance just need to force a fight here, and they absolutely can. 100 Thieves need to win this fight. It needs to be a miracle. And they're not positioned for it. Look at Copy. All the way down on the bottom side of the map. No TP. Tenacity does have TP. He's also down there bot. They have no vision on this Baron.
They know that Andy Benny's fighting it now. They have the Scuttler still up. So Otto's going to look in here for the engage. Going to try and find some poke. Oh, base race strategy. I like this.
Max, they're going for the Baron. They'll tap this over the wall.
Kenvi dives in. Was that the Baron still dead? That's the game! The Barons come out! The teleports are coming in, TJ, into the back of the Nexus. Copy may be able to take it. N goes tanky, but are you tanky enough to stop the Nexus towers? You don't do any damage. Andy Benny finds the kill onto Kenvi, but needs to be able to back. But without Baron enhanced recalls, there's no way. Nexus down to half. 100 Thieves say 100 go next. The Nexus falls, and 100 Thieves take game one.
I do not believe my eyes or my ears. They got the soul. It was their game to lose. And Radiance did lose it. 100 Thieves stole it. They steal the Baron, they steal my hearts, and they steal the game. What an incredible game one.
What a game. Oh my god. Sometimes your only response, TJ, is to scream.
Kenvi putting the entire team on his back. Did he die once that game?
No. I think, yes. The very end. Off the Baron steal.
Okay. One death for Kenvi.
That's 1 for 1. That's one Kenvi for one Nexus. They're roughly equivalent in value. That's all I'm saying.
Kenvi finally trading his one life. He had 9. He was playing a cat in order to win the game. And these are times, Matt, where I am damn happy we're playing in a league format, where I'm damn happy we're going to have a game too.
Oh, yeah.
Let's start positioning our way towards it. We'll have the stats up in a moment. 100 Thieves winning that game, but I think they're the ones who need to fix things headed into game 2.
Absolutely,
that was control of most of that, despite getting early leads, despite getting major advantages off of individual play. Radiance kept slipping back into it because their team play looked lacking.
That was the Hail Mary of all Hail Mary plays, and it worked just off the back of individual plays. That is not how you win in a league format. It is fantastic that they were able to pull it out, and honestly, bravo for even thinking of it, because that was like galaxy brain levels of thinking there. But you cannot rely on that to win you games, because for most of that game, you're right. Radiance were in the seat. The difference was, when it came down to individual play, 100 Thieves was in the lead. When it came down to team play, it was Radiance. So I'm going to make a request, TJ. And I'll let you toss it out. This is an unconventional request, but if producer Joe could just break run of show for a second and bring it to cams, you're going to see exactly why in a second. So take your point, and I'll make mine if that's possible, and he'll tell me if it's not.
As we look at this end game scoreboard, I think we are witnessing the second great injustice of this game. And that is, unfortunately, you're getting your wish. Unfortunately, Andy didn't win. Despite everything Andy did that game, if we're praising the Nidalee, we also have to praise Andy. Because, my God, did he have a fantastic match.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, what did you want to show us?
All right, so you remember, everyone, how I said hold on, TJ, I'm taking notes. I took some really important notes, and I was thinking at the time that these are going to be the notes that decide the rest of the game. These are going to be relevant for the rest of the game, and luckily for me, I was absolutely right. Here are my notes in full. I have...
Oh. If you could draw some more question mark pings over that, I think that would be good.
Let me just...
Because, yeah, that was the big problem for 100 Thieves. And Radiance, I'm not going to act like they were immune. There was, it's amateur level. There's always going to be a few slip-ups. But That actually looks like the in-game screen. But 100 Thieves, my god, the amount of times, especially down in the bot lane, that they got rid of what should have been an easy win, that was heartbreaking.
Yeah, Yawn was caught out so many times. There was one time where Tenacity was caught out, and these are all fantastic players. So it it makes me wonder why they are finding themselves in these situations. Is it a lack of communication? Is it just individual? I'm I just want to farm. Is Yawn just saying, I gotta farm, I gotta get items, and then not
And
thinking, oh god, there's no vision around me.
look at how much damage he still managed to do. Look at how important to his team he still was.
Yeah.
100 Thieves need to tighten that up, need to tighten up their team play. But if nothing else, with the handicap of all of the shenanigans they gave to Radiance for free, still winning that game off individual play, has to be something you feel comfortable about. Has to be something you feel confident in.
Absolutely. And for Radiance, I think I I don't know what you do here for Radiance because I feel like they have
Their team play
things
was
to
great.
improve upon, but it's minor things. It is
Yep.
individual micro play. It's not like, oh, you clearly should not have done this. You clearly shouldn't have done that. It was just that 100 Thieves had those consistent clutch plays. They had those consistent clutch picks, those 1v1s, some of which didn't go great, but some of which would get a pick onto Andy, and that would be just the
Yep.
fight. That would be the Baron.
We do, of course, have a game two. We do, of course, have another match of this series. It will be our last of the evening. 100 Thieves next and Radiance were our second best of two. We have two every Wednesday for the next 4 weeks as the Challengers Uprising series continues. We have a whole season ahead of us. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, Radiance take on 100 Thieves next in game two of this best of two. Don't you dare tune out now.
The night beckons while you dream. A light
Welcome to the world, no heroes and villains. Welcome to the war, we've only begun. So pick up your weapon and face it. There's blood on the ground, go and take it. You get one shot to make it out alive. So higher and higher you chase it. It's deep in your bones, go and take it. This is your moment. Now is your time, so prove yourself and rise, rise. Make them remember you. Rise, push through heaven. Rise, rise. They will remember you. Rise. Welcome to the climb up, reach for the summit. Visions brave, the one false step lead the end. So higher and higher you chase it. It's deep in your blood, go and take it. This is your moment. Take to the skies, go. Prove yourself and rise, rise. Make them remember.
Guys. What the happened?
I
What
don't know,
happened?
man.
That was Radiance's game to win. They hit Ocean Soul. They had everything in the bag. They were scaling. They couldn't dot. And then Kenvi, out of all people on the Nidalee, hops the Baron wall, steals the Baron. Oh my gosh. We got. Before we get too further into this, ladies and gentlemen, we gotta
hold on.
take this back at the beginning.
Cat in hat greater than cat with book. That's it.
Very true.
That's the announcement.
You know, that's the
We're done.
tweet. Cat in hat greater than cat with book, please.
Throw it back to TJ
So-
and Nibs. We're done.
That's the
cat with a
analyst
hat stole the
segment
Baron.
right there. There's nothing else to say here. But in all seriousness, let's go back at the beginning of this series. How we highlighted these two teams, how they were going to win. Radiance, only viable win condition was to play through bot lane. And they had this superior bottom lane matchup that 100 Thieves were honestly questionably trying to limit test through with this Aphelios and Set here coming.
Yeah, like we talked about, how 100 Thieves likes to play around Tenacity. He doesn't like playing the orange Set, and they flexed the Set bot and gave a really rough matchup. And Radiance, they cashed in, and this game was all theirs. For the start, we see them winning these team fights. Even Engo, who was put on an island, really bad matchup, was still able to find ways to be very useful, and they were winning these fights and cleaning up around this Ezreal Yuumi. They were playing really well throughout the early part of the game.
And one of the things that they really did quite well, like you're mentioning, is they got the first two Drakes on the Olaf, and they even got the third Drake. They won that fight too, and those are the very clear win conditions that you need to have when you are playing Olaf.
Oh,
in
here it
jungle.
is.
And oh my god.
Oh.
Hold on. Let's just watch this.
Oh my gosh. And this is so big too from Kenvi. The fact that he flashes the Malphite ult, gets the Baron. I mean, that takes away the empowered recalls. It gives them Baron buff minions pushing into the base, and that steal actually wins them the game here. It's just an insane play, and credit for 100 Thieves for going for the Hail Mary. There's no way they're going to win this game standard, and they end up going for the big play. They pull it off, and they somehow take this one from under the noses of Radiance one. It was all theirs.
It's just very impressive that they came up with a play like that, because exactly like you mentioned,
Oh my gosh.
Ocean Soul is like unlosable most of the time, and 100 Thieves, they know that. They know that they need to go for a play like this, and then all the dominoes just fall in line back to back. They set up the Baron wave, or they set up the minion wave. It's not Baron yet. They set up the minion wave. They get the Baron steal. They delay the bases. They kill the Olaf, and then they continue with the play. They, by the skin of their teeth, too, they kill the Nexus. They were close to not even getting it. It's just, I don't know. If I'm Radiance, I'm kind of mad.
Oh gosh, my mental would be. Yeah.
I think everyone can agree on this test that if we were to play from in their shoes, our mentals would be quite devastated because it's just to have victory within your grasp when everything is surely right. The one
Yeah.
maybe 0.111111% play that could give it back to 100 Thieves happens. Like Murphy's Law occurs. Everything that could have possibly went wrong goes wrong in the last 30, 45 seconds. And it is just, this is where a team like Radiance needs to step up because they need to look past this and say, you know what? On paper, we won this game. We took the fights early. We ensured that our bottom lane was winning that matchup. We were getting the gold lead. Ezreal was hitting the power spikes that he needed to, and we were scaling and collecting all the dragons towards that Ocean Soul. The fact that you're rolling Ocean Soul in that game as well when you have Olaf in the draft, which you have mentioned, Smacks, feels like the only purpose of Olaf is just to ensure that you get the first dragons of the game so that you can maintain a lead to guarantee that soul.
It's just... There were so many things that lined up for Radiance to lose that game. I would say that from that position, and props to them for getting the position, by the way. From the position they were in with the Ocean Soul and the champions that they had as well, the Ezreal Yuumi had the scaling going on, the Olaf Yuumi as well, that pairing just so devastating in these team fights. I would say that they had like a 90, maybe even like 95% chance to win that game. And I don't know, just the pizzazz from 100 Thieves to pull off that play. I'm still taken aback by that. It was just nuts.
Absolutely.
That was one of the crazier plays I've seen, like in recent amateur. I mean, the fact that he dodged out on the Malphite ult, he jumps into the pit, he takes the Baron away, and just like the team play too, to have the idea to send their two solo liners down bot. I mean, this is what we expect out of 100 Thieves next. This is why we've been talking about them being one of the top teams in amateur, because they have these creative solutions coming on out. And, that game was lost, but they went for the Hail Mary, and it worked.
Just some awesome stuff there.
If we're Radiance...
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. If we're Radiance, ladies and gentlemen, they just need to step back, come back into game 2, and say, you know what? We know what we did wrong. It was just, that play does not occur in every single game if they run this composition over and over again. You need to, have confidence that Engo was playing weak side in the top lane for you. So it's fine that Tenacity and Kemvi were playing towards that top side of the map in the advantage because you're making those trades, right? So, Radiance, if you want to run back this draft, I don't know if you're in Radiance's shoes, Cubby, I don't know if you necessarily need to ban anything, but, we'll have to find out what Radiance decide to do because 100 Thieves are definitely in the advantageous spot here because they've inflicted huge mental damage over to Radiance. I definitely don't want to be in Radiance's shoes here, but let's see how they can rise from this defeat and look to come back in game 2, which TJ and Iberia will get you ready for.
We're back. The two boys in blue for game 2. 100 Thieves next fight Radiance down to the wire in game 1, Matt. All the way to the wire. I have never seen a game as lost as that get pulled back quite as definitively as it just was.
So first off, TJ.
Yeah?
Shirt is purple. I know it doesn't show up on the camera as purple. I know it shows up with a blue tint. It's a little more purple now that the light's gone from that window. And I know that in every camera photo I take, it turns out blue. I swear to God, this is purple. You are gaslighting me.
At this angle, it does look kind of purple.
Thank you.
Can you stand up and take a step back, though?
Yeah, let me just...
Nah, it's blue, chat. Back me up. That's a blue shirt.
This is purple. Chat, please, don't gaslight me. Please. I'm very fragile.
Chat says your head's very smooth.
Oh, well.
Either they're talking about your head or my brain, and one of those is a compliment and one of those isn't.
Well, I was going to say it mirrors my brain, so, we're operating on the same wavelength here.
Chat's unsure. We've created another dress. It's both blue and purple.
Well, you know what? At least I'll be remembered for something. Off
That's
that
a little
last
dark,
game,
Matt. I'm not sure where you're planning on going with that. But if I
just
have
gonna
to
head up
remember
to
you for one
Toronto.
thing- Oh yeah.
If I were Fallen Bandit, the coach of 100 Thieves next.
Good, great. You just inserted that kind of as a subtitle.
Yeah, I'd be getting out the belt, man. Like, I don't know what else to say. I'd be like, all right, boys, line them up, come here. Just like Coach Coma, the Grand Coach. I don't know what to do when your team is just like, yeah, macro, pff, whatever. Objectives, never heard of them, and they still win.
Yeah,
Like
that's the most.
there's only so mad you can get, but justifiably you should be madder.
Well,
Like, coach, we won. What happened? It's like, you tell me what happened.
what do you do if you're Radiance and you do everything right? You get handed a really tough deck of cards. 100 Thieves next keep winning fights they absolutely shouldn't and finding opportunities that are absurd and no other mechanical players would. And then you still do everything right, you still pull back that game, and you still lose. What do you do?
I think you just got to change the risk assessment, man. I talk about this a lot. I know I'm bringing up the LPL a lot, but after that last game, I'm justified. I'm fully justified. That was LPL as hell. I've talked about this.
Down
Actually,
to
no.
one team playing better and that team being the one that lost.
Yeah.
That's the old
Yeah,
LPL
it's
stat
very,
line.
very LPL. We talked about this on a podcast I had with you. The thing about the LPL is the way they do risk assessments very different from other regions. They're like, okay, if I play perfectly, what's the chance that I win this? If I outplay them, is it at least a 60-40 chance that I win? And if they go for it, they win.
How's that happen? Sorry,
Great
continue your point. They banned Senna instead of Varus.
Interesting. Yeah, we've got a lot to say about that. But I don't know what you do here if you're Radiance. Like, I guess you have to change your risk assessment to be less LPL, and you say, okay, if they outplay us on this, how badly do we lose? How badly are we just unbelievably shafted if we make this mistake?
You need to shift your risk assessment to include the fact that 100 Thieves are reliably winning fights they shouldn't. That you can't tank fair fights, because they'll win those. Radiance...
Because if they had only...
Right.
I think if Radiance had only taken those fights in which they had Malphite and Orianna Shockwave. Malphite ult and Orianna Shockwave. You win. I think you win. If you can avoid those other skirmishes, if you can go down to, okay, you cannot out-execute a CC chain. It's literally impossible. They don't have cleanse. They don't have QSS. If we just CC chain them perfectly, we kill them. And I think that's how you have to play. If you just want to change nothing else, make a composition that has a lower executional barrier and has less potential for being outplayed. Because yes, you can do less with it, but if you can manipulate the game such that that one thing's all you need to do, you finally win those fights you should be winning.
Let's talk about this draft, though, because we're already getting into it. Radiance do get themselves a Callista for Andy. And I want that to be a big story coming in, because Andy Bendy was heroic in game number 1. And he's got Callista Tarek. Matt!
Well, that sure is a bot lane. A really, really good one, too. 100 Thieves have the Varus, which is like wild, as you said. Highest tier 80 carry last patch, I'd argue.
That was last
This patch he did
they're
receive a
counting
nerf.
left and right. Yeah. But
But I don't know if it's big enough that he's off everyone's radar. Huh?
Yeah. The patch just came out. Nobody knows that, though.
Yeah. They're not
Nope.
sure how much it affects it, and I think 100 Thieves are just betting he's still fine.
Yeah. And I think they're right, for the record. I think this Varus is still going to be very scary in the bot lane, even though he did receive a substantial nerf to his E. Radiance are also playing nerfed characters. This Taric got nerfed out of existence. It felt like in a single patch they nerfed how much armor he gets from his W, the Starlight Link thing. And just nobody played him. Maybe that was because we saw a whole bunch of like scrims and people realized that it was a huge nerf. But I always kind of suspected that people just dropped him because it seemed like the sort of thing that would drop him out of meta. So maybe we're getting a double test here.
We actually see that a lot with some of these nerfs because the prevailing theory of pick ban for pro play is it's only worth picking the top champion. If you can't get that one, you go for the next one. Can't get that, go for the next. Totally valid, totally viable. But a lot of times, nobody drafts around, all right, we know this composition's great for our players. We know this composition is still viable. Just run it. Just run it. Very rarely do I see coaches doing that. I like going for that chance, especially if you know that Andy is a fantastic Callista, if you know that Cow is going to be a fantastic Taric, and you know that it was only nerfed, a fair amount, but once you get to the bare knuckles of what makes Taric strong, you got the stun, you got the invuln, those aren't gone. They're still a part of his kit.
And with the team play we saw game 1 from Cal and Andy, like I'm 100% in the camp that Radiance can overcome that. Yeah. And this makes it wild because on 100 Thieves you have that Thresh Varus lane which should just be insta-win. And also you have a Radiance bot lane which I would also argue should be insta-win in these players' hands. And I genuinely don't know how to rank that. Let's talk about the rest of the map though, because we have a Mordekaiser top, don't yet know who that's playing into. Oh, this would be big. We've seen this foreshadowed in Q. He plays a ton of Kayle, man. It's like his main. Ango has been playing almost exclusively Kayle this season.
So this is interesting. This would be an interesting pickup for me.
Okay.
Because I listen to a lot of people complain about the state of top lane. I really shouldn't. It's bad for my mental health, but I do listen to it a lot. And people are like, I have no idea what to pick in a Mordekaiser. Like, he just does fine in every matchup. You can play this right. This may be the one matchup that he's not fine into. Because if you just farm under tower and somehow miraculously manage to not get punished by getting dove under tower, you can just kite it.
And Kayle can do that. Well, maybe. We'll find out.
Kayle
In the mid lane, let's talk about Azir and Orianna, because we are having that matchup again. We also have Trundle v Olaf in the jungle. I know this patch, the Olaf should win that on paper. And that means, again, coming out of the draft phase, I'm left saying I think Radiance have won. I said that last game. It certainly wasn't evident in-game. But it started to kind of edge their way due to the team fighting strengths that we highlighted during the draft. It started to kind of drift that way. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say I was right. Radiance need to do more than win the draft slightly, though, because they did that last time. And they were still getting fought even by 100 Thieves. And I think this is a much closer draft than game 1. This is a lot more question marks.
This is all on the top lane. This is all on Ango. Literally everything from Radiance is riding on Ango. I like the composition. It's not the zero execution one I was thinking of, but
You're not on the Callista Taric train if you think it's all top lane.
I think it's all top lane because top lane was the weak point for Radiance last game. If Ango can soak up the same level of disadvantage he did last game, but just kind of like flatten it a little bit, by mid-late, they will come out of it ahead. If that Kayle gets absolutely dumpstered the way Ango's Malphite was last game, she does not have the same kind of tools to still contribute. She just has her ultimate at that point, and it's not that strong.
Can I raise another interesting point, though? 100 Thieves. I was waiting for you to be like, no more interesting point. 100 Thieves. Oh, huge part of how they brought that last game back was Kenvi only dying once in the entire game on a terrifying Nidalee. He gone from the highest skill cap, biggest carry jungler in the game, to Trundle. Now, don't get me wrong, Trundle can be good, but there is a skill cap, and there is a point at which Trundle stops being able to win fights by themselves, and I worry we may lose Kenvi's impact on this game.
So I would argue that Kenvi's impact was not because he was playing Nidalee. I would argue that the impact was because he is a skilled enough jungler to maximize the potential you get out of Nidalee. Not mechanically, but in terms of map movement and jungle movement. Because a lot of the advantages, as we said, in that first game, in the jungle, were brought about by invades. They were brought about by farming, which is just the way you play Nidalee. That's just how that champion goes. She's a hyper-farming jungler. She can do those invades. She'll get a lot of farm. I don't think those skills are going to disappear on Trundle. You're not going to go for the same hyper farming, but you might go for an invade. you might go for deep vision. And those same skills that allowed Kenvi to roll all over Avi last game will still allow for those aggressive plays.
Yeah.
I agree that the magnitude may be lesser, though.
Well, we're headed into the final game of day number 1 here at our very special Challengers Uprising day 1 ever. I have to say, like, even if this game is somehow an absolute blowout, I think you still have to frame this as an incredible day 1. We've had so many fun games.
Yeah, this is wild, because, you know, I hate to put everyone in casting on blast.
Well, okay,
not what
where
I'm
this
gonna
time is going, Matt.
I know you don't. There's not
Don't
what I'm
get
gonna
me
do. But
blacklisted.
a lot of times in casting, you have days where you're just like, these games suck.
Yeah.
These games suck, and I have to be excited about them.
Yeah.
This is the furthest from that I've been in like a while. Like OQ1 was just like, it was all right. Some of the games were great. You know, some of them were just like, they were games. Second day, that last game was fantastic. I was like, all right, I'm into it. I don't know if I can top this. It's been topped, TJ. It's been topped.
We're topping things every time. If you would like to find out more, of course, about our upcoming schedule, I suggest you head on over to @challengers_up on Twitter, or you click right down below this stream. Join our Discord. Find out more. Challengers Uprising is, I think, on a mission. We're set to build the best path to pro in North American Amateur. If you're wondering why we're talking about things as generally as that, maybe why I paused kind of mid-sentence a couple of times, because producer Joe was speaking in our ears. Apparently, disaster has struck. Perhaps the same lightning storm that was interfering with our stream earlier has knocked out Tenacity's power. So we're just waiting on 100 Thieves next to be able to sort that out. If it goes too long, we will head on back over to the desk, but we're going to sit here for a moment and
You're
hope that
trapped with us
Tenacity
now,
can
chat.
reboot his PC. Chat with us, chat! You're trapped in a room with us. This has been, and I'm just trying to get a picture of the standings right here, because I'm looking at them on my second monitor. We're of course in Group B right now. You're like, wow, who else is in Group B? Who else is playing? We have Dark Allegiance, Dark Matter, Full Spectrum, Maryville University, Charlotte Phoenix, Frostfire, and of course 100 Thieves Next and Radiance in this Group B. So I was sure this was going to be the stacked group of death. Obviously, we're getting a taste of that right now. But we also have had some pretty sick games in Group A when the team that we thought was going to, I think, dominate that group, and Anu got dropped by TFT.
Yeah. That was a wild set of games, too. Like, that was just completely out of nowhere. Strumpus just put on the carry pants.
We've had a lot of that. Strumpus puts on the carry pants here, and this game, Kenvi just steps up. I'd like
that
to
was
say,
the carry hat, TJ. It's very different.
You're right, on top. I'd like to say it's contagious. I think there is genuinely something to be said for the step up in pricing, the step up in organizing we've had so far here, maybe producing better play. Because when you have a little bit more on the line in terms of that prize pool, well, you know, you got to get those Nike dollars, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We do have an update. We will be heading into game here. I assume Tenacity rebooted his generator. He's got actually a backup setup instead of just being connected to the mains. He's got a solar generator out back that's been generating power all day, channeling the power of the sun so that he can play this match.
I thought he was just going to be using smoke signals in order to control his champion. Just like, you know, just... It's a Q! He wants to press Q! Someone like 2 streets over is just like... Alright, what next? E?
I like that image because the APM of Kenny or Tenacity is just so insane that, like, I want to say he couldn't get away with it, but then again, he's playing top lane, so who would really notice, you know?
Yeah,
playing a tank. What's he gonna do, you know?
He's just vibing. He's on Mordekaiser against a Kale. He's just gonna be right clicking.
Mordekaiser versus Kale. He can communicate. He can send his commands by carrier pigeon. They'll arrive in time. Not
They're
gonna get
fast.
pushed.
They're fast little buggers.
Uh, also want to draw a highlight. This has been a day where we've seen a lot of former LCS, former Academy players popping off. And we've had a lot of them here in the amateur scene today. And I was thinking about this as we were remarking on it. Of course, we have that whole story with Mike Young, who's dropped all the way down from once being, the star of an LCS team to now being down here in NA amateur. And it's very, very easy to frame that as, oh, Mike's struggling. But, in spite of the narrative around North America, in spite of the narrative around North American development, I do, as I watch these games, kind of begin to suspect that everyone else is catching up. The NA amateur scene is taking a step up. The Academy last season, even though everyone beams on Academy, did look better than ever.
Yeah, and this is where we're gonna get a lot of points here from chat. So chat, just chime in when you're feeling like we're pandering to you properly. But this is what people in amateur have been saying for like months and months and years before that, is that, why are we hiring these people who've been in the LCS 17 times and have never placed higher than like 8th? When we have a bunch of natural talent here in NA that nobody's just taking a chance on. Nobody's willing to just give them the shot. Nobody's willing to develop them, and they'd rather just have someone who's a tested and proven known. Even if the unknown has more potential, if you're just like, well, this guy's not going to run it down. We'll just hire him for the 12th time.
Yep.
And I think finally, it's been the amount of evidence where it's just like, you can no longer ignore the amount of talent in amateur. It's like, oh, well, all right. I guess we got to start using the academy system.
And that's been one of the big things for me as I pick up an amateur. Of course, I didn't cast League of Legends until like last year. And so my experience with League of Legends has been people telling me, oh my god, NA is a mess, NA amateur is a mess, NA Academy is a mess. And sure, we do see some very questionable team decision making at times, but the individual skill of these players is nothing to sneer at.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's how 100 Thieves Next won that last game.
Let's talk about this one,
let us
because we
fight.
are into game. And we are into level 1. Anti-Bendy already charming in. Radiance, of course, on the red side this time round. They swap sides. And with Tenacity's power back on, maybe they'll be able to swap their fates as well.
This is going to be a rough early lane here for Engo. How this is just going to go until level 6 is Engo's going to have 0 farm, going to get zoned off entirely. And that's just going to be the state of things. That's just life. There's nothing a Kale can do. You've got the potions, you've got Time Warp Tonic and Biscuits, I guarantee it. This is the only way Kale survives the lane. Oh, no, if you don't dodge that E, by the way, you just lose. That's the name of this lane.
He's been playing a lot of Kale and solo queue. Like, I was looking at his stats prior to us going on air today, and I was like, Kale! So I feel so vindicated that he pulled it out. But it's like his entire routine manifesto. So I assume there's a game plan. I assume there's a trick somewhere.
Oh, I'm sure, but I mean, playing Kale against random NA solo queue top laners is one thing. Playing it against a coordinated team of some of the strongest talent in North America.
Discussion.
Yeah. Well, because Tenacity is like, what, number 5 in solo queue? And Yun, I know for a fact, is number 25.
Yep.
Like,
So
that's a whole world of difference.
You're dealing with it. 7 CS. Oh, 8 CS in the top lane for the Kale.
Tenacity's just backing and walking back to lane because he knows he's got time. Oh, that's a huge hook.
Remarkably, not. Ends up being a small hook. And the reason, of course...
Cleanse, that's pretty huge.
The reason, of course, Radiance are able to push all the way up here is because they've had full jungle control. Abby, with a ton of invades early on, kind of takes Kenby's own strategies on the middle to him here in the Olaf v Trundle matchup. And they've got a bit of a setup here.
Oh, Engo, you poor creature. This is almost certainly a death.
The pillar's out.
Flash
Engo on the run. Underneath the turret will be fine. Tenacity takes equivalent damage from the turret. That didn't go at all how I thought it would. Watch this rotate through the jungle from Radiance.
You know, TJ?
Yeah.
Take it back. I take it back. Engo is playing this defensive matchup incredibly well. The back timing as well. Being forced off just as you burn your final charge of corrupting potion is just like perfect. The one problem though
I
is
didn't want
that
to be in this lane anyway.
I don't want to be here with you nerds. I'm going home. The problem though is that Kenby is just like setting up a tent here. And there's no contest here from Avi because they kind of were vertical jungling. They were
Okay.
just like, all right, trade sides.
Uh-oh, and Go actually isn't aware of this as well. That could get dangerous, but I think we're good. I do want to point out, though, like many things purchased from REI, Kenby has paid in blood for this tent. He has paid well above market price for the cliff bars that came with it, and he's losing a lot of CS right now.
Tenacity's like 3 HP right now. I know he has shield, but that's terrifying. But I'm giggling at the idea, TJ, of someone going up to another camper being like, oh, how much you pay for those boots? 3 or 4 liters. I don't remember.
Of blood. Got it. I was still
Your
stuck
joke,
on
I figured you
REI.
knew the punchline, but
Ooh. Al and Andy in for Yeon. They've got the stuns.
is that a heal blow? Yon blue heal. Oh no, Andy doesn't have cleanse this time. It's not gonna matter though. This is
They're lacking damage. This early Varus not doing anything.
This is a really good early game for Radiance so far. I know we're 6 minutes in, so I'm probably going to eat my words in about 3 or 4 of those.
If game one's anything to go by, but this has been much more controlled for Radiance.
Yeah, and it's kind of their win condition here, is to play this slow early game. You're supposed to bleed this top lane. Like, there's no way in hell this Kayle wins top. That's just a fact. Kayle doesn't get to do anything pre-6, and that's sort of life as she knows it, and she's kind of used to it. You know, when she was a kid, she didn't like it, but now she's grown
You get
into
used
it.
to things over time, yeah.
Yeah, you know, you're just acclimated. It's habituation. It's a psychological term. No matter how bad or good something is, eventually it's just neutral.
Like
And
standing
that's how
in
I
a
got
hot
through
tub.
school.
Okay,
Um,
that's dark. Never mind. I was going to make a joke about muscle fatigue in a hot tub, but you went for like mental fatigue in the American educational system. Radiant,
Which is more traumatic, TJ?
go for the Drake. Actually, the Cloud Drake's gooped up. Kenzie is in the area, but he's too far away. And Radiance get that early objective control on lock, as we also lock down the game.
I'm gonna guess that's Tenacity's power again.
Yeah,
You
unfortunately.
know, it's so funny. Our
Suspect
producer
that's the
Joe was
likely
in our
culprit.
ears like, oh, it's a thunderstorm taking out his power. And I'm like, yeah, thunderstorm taking out power. Imagine that. And then I look outside and I hear flashes of light everywhere. I'm like,
I live
oh,
in California, and I'm not convinced that rain is a real thing. I think, like, I've seen it in England once or twice, but, you know, in the United States, in our golden states, I don't think so.
golden because of the sunlight, not because there's cloudy days.
Yeah. Looks like we're back into it. Andy is very back into it. There's the ultimate cow. Close range here.
Uh-oh. There's the return. The hook, they force it off the back lane, but Kenby's coming in here for the flank, has the pillar. Flash away from Andy will save him.
But other things needing to babysit the bot lane. We haven't seen any real presence from Radiance since Avi was here in the early game. This has been a very solid lane win so far from Andy and Co. Which is what they needed in game one. What they had to kind of bring back in game one. They lost those early 2 kills, remember, and they had to brawl every bit of gold onto Andy back into his pocketbook. And this time, they're just getting it for free, which is enabling all sorts of shenanigans across the map. Young shoves mid, Rift Herald's getting worked on.
I think when you compare it to last game, though, you have to think of the relative goals of those bot lanes, because the goal of Ezreal Yuumi is not to win them. You know, you just scale up and don't die, and eventually you do a lot of damage. Oh boy, Engo's in trouble. Has ultimate available, though, so can survive this Mordekaiser ult.
Got 3 of them.
3 people.
Ult will be blown. 3 people right around the corner. The death sentence is wide though. And Engo can flash away. Flash to chase from Kenvi with a lantern to get out. Damn, that was clean. 100 Thieves make up for the whiff death sentence and find themselves first blood.
Part of me is like wondering if that flash away from Engo was actually worth it. And that, I know, sounds kind of dumb. But let me back it up for you, chat. If you're playing this Kayle lane and you know the 1v1 is almost never going to go your way, having that flash, having the threat of being able to escape any engage, is as much a safety net as anything else can be in the top lane. And now that you don't have this, Engo just gets run down here. Now that you don't have the flash, Tenacity knows he can just dive under tower. And if he has the damage, you die. There's no, oh, he flashed to safety. Oh, he flashed into a bush, I lost vision and I died. It's just, okay, I have ultimate, this is a dead Kayle.
And Engo's gonna have to live with that for 5 minutes. We did see pressure elsewhere on the map, nothing achieving anything. Avi had to defend mid. Oh, here's Engo. Exactly what you were talking about, Matt.
Yeah, and they can just go for these ganks, and Kenvi can continue to be up here. They can continue to go for this. They can continue to zone Engo off farm. And this is what I was afraid of for the Kayle. They're sending so many people up here, and so far, Radiance are not getting enough off the back end of it.
So the Radiance trying to do some. Recognizing the presence up on the top side, they dedicate their man down towards the bottom side. They will be able to clear this wave, get back under, get a few more plates. We do, I believe, have the Rift Herald still on Abby, so if they can get down to 2 plates here, that's just Torrent picked up.
Purple hands. He's got the crab. Uh-oh.
Yeah,
No for Avi.
He's
Has
in
to
trouble.
pop it.
I think we take those. I think considering they dragged Kenvi all the way across the map, I think that's an alright win.
Engo's still suffering so much in farm, though. Like, this is really rough. Has hit level 6 by now, so is going to be able to at least ideally keep the CS differential, but it's 27 down. Like, that's rough.
So we talked on this early game a ton from Radiance. We said they were dominating. Do you hold to that? Are we still living in that world despite the Kayle lane being bullied?
Yeah, I think Radiance are coming away with the strength on the bottom side of the map here. So the reason I'm still okay with this game state for Radiance, right? If you have a strong bot side and a weak top side, usually the way you capitalize on that as the other team is you take the Rift Herald. Radiance preempted that. They were just like, Avi, just go for the Rift Herald, take it while Engo isn't dead. Like, while he's not being dove under tower, just take the Rift Herald, please.
He hits
Good
the wrong
blend.
target because
They're
of the
just
ult
going on
thing.
the aggressive onto Yun. This may be a kill. Yun incredibly low. The flash in. Goes for the slow. Maybe able to find it. Yun still running away. Teleport in to follow up. This is not Engo. It's going to be Young. Avi survives off the Triumph. Andy Bendy still pumping out the damage here in the bottom lane. Tenacity has drove in with the ultimate onto Young. Shockwave will slow down Tenacity. Andy Bendy still somehow pumping out damage. Tenacity's got a lot of spears in his back. The double kill there for Kenvi. Can Andy Bendy find anything off the back of this? I don't think so. This is turning, TJ.
He's in huge trouble, but he's got the kill. Finally takes down Tenacity. Oh, with the death sentence to cancel his movement. This shield from Young is huge. They've got the fight. A double kill to Young. Radiance, I do not believe it. Despite anti-bending fully, he still gets the necessary kills. He still takes out Tenacity. And they still win the bot lane fight.
This was a really, really protracted fight. I thought this was the end of it, and then Andy Bendy goes for what I think, in retrospect, is actually the right play. Go aggressive onto Yon, which forces him to either die to you, or you get lanterned out and you die to Avi. That's great. Avi takes a while to take this down, which leaves them in the position to have the double teleports forced out, and from here things get really messy.
I mean, the second that death sentence lands and they kill Cow, I'm like, okay, this is over. Avi's got no HP, he can't really fight this. Indeed, when he does go in, he just gets melted. But yeah, this was the player we're talking about, just shredding Kenvi. And despite putting him in this weird position, he has the support Oriana behind him. And that gets them the kill, that gets them the fight.
And I think that trade on Andy there is fine because Young cleaned it up. I mean, just like a double kill for your mid laner. Like, when are you not happy about that? Young's dead here.
He's in huge trouble. What was that?
That was a return kill in a 1 versus 3, TJ. We call that a big dub in the industry.
Yeah. Huge dub. That's things in the esports industry. 100 Thieves struggling now at the hands of several big standout individual plays. Our tables, our stories have been flipped from game number 1. Radiance are the ones inexplicably benefiting from the mechanics. And they also have the team play to match up this time round.
Yeah, this is like really, really strong coming out from Radiance. Granted, it's what we said last game, but last game was also a whole lot more back and forth. That's the important thing to keep in mind. Radiance have had control for almost all of this game. And so far, I think they're on pace to take it. Still got a lot of game to go, though.
So confused as to how this series is developed. Here is Tenacity from the top. Keep your eyes on him as this Rift Herald fight develops. He's into the Death Realm against Andy.
And he's still alive, has the flash available. No! Doesn't get to use it out defensively. It's blown, but it doesn't save him. Tenacity incredibly low, gets taken out finally. Cow! Barely living. Now, Avi going in for the dive.
Avi with ulti. Can't find anything. Eon stays safe. And you can see Cow at the back of that fight, still so low. Andy's chasing this, but the Blast Cone will surely get them to safety. And Radiance managed to find Tenacity 1-for-1 and then back away from the fight.
Really good here from Hunter Thief next. Like, that was the cleanest that fight goes. And he now has a QSS, so that fight will never happen again. QSS is like the antithesis of Mordekaiser. It is so easy to shut him down after that point. Now that Andy has it on top of Cleanse, I think the next fight is going to go in Radiance's favor, if they can't snowball this Herald quickly. Because were it not for Andy being forced into that 1v1, and even with him being forced into the 1v1, frankly, Tenacity almost lost it. Like, the Callista almost out DPS'd the Mordekaiser, and that's a scary position to be in.
I am still at a loss for words. I was worried we would get a clean game too. I was worried we'd, be watching some Korean League of Legends all of a sudden. We're still
Handshaking
here.
away objectives.
Yeah.
The gentleman's agreement. You can take the Rift Herald, we'll take the Dragon. We'll see you in 20 minutes for the necessary Baron fight.
Meet
None of
me
that.
down the street by the barbers.
Remember, no punches below the belt, no blood. This is a brand new shirt.
Oh, Tenacity. He might be ruining that brand new shirt. Oh my god. He's got Cow into the Death Realm. Somehow that was going to get a kill secured. I thought for sure that was the wrong target, but Tenacity shows off the power of the Olaf. Or sorry, the Mordekaiser.
Yeah, this is the, I'll say, the corollary to the QSS axiom of Mordekaiser.
Right.
Yes, whoever has the QSS is no longer ultable by Mordekaiser, but he's just gonna ult someone else and kill them. Like, that's the problem that I found in solo queue. I know you were there in the game because I was like, oh no, I've got QSS now, it's fine, and then they just ulted you instead. Every single fight without fail.
We do
And
get
we lost.
we do get a Rift Herald dropped in the river. Rift Herald flown home. Be cleaned up real quickly though, as he attempts to go into the mid lane.
Almost.
And I don't know, so we were talking about that even objective trading, which of course defined game number 1. 100 Thieves get much less for their Rift Heralds this game.
Yep. Envy might just die. Like, that was the perfect axe there. Positioning from Avi. Forces out the flash and the ultimate. Ult for ult, I think you're happy with that as an Olaf. Sure, you can't get the engage on the AD carry, but that now is a whole lot of engage that is no longer available from that Trundle.
Positioning control on this Ocean Drake over to 100 Thieves. Radiance don't have vision on it. They don't know it's been started. Instead, they will just take some copy in the mid lane. That's going to get scooped away. They've just abandoned this Drake.
I think you have to,
That
given
would
that
have been the sole
positioning.
point.
I think you have to with that positioning, though, because they were forced off. They were forced into that choke up by the banana brush. There's no way you get out. Like, there's no way you get back into that fight without eating several skill shots to the face, and by that point, you just lose. So they're taking the idea that if they can get a kill onto copy in mid or get the turret, that becomes worth it. And they might get the kill, albeit a little bit delayed. Force out the ult.
Oh. Like that. 100 Thieves do get the Drake, denying Soul Point, which is a big investment and a good investment. You can see the spread across the map. They, of course, have to back after that. Radiance push the lanes as a result. Full show in mid will claim a turret, the second of their game, the fourth in total. As we're trading even on turrets, among with many other things.
That said, we're going to have to watch Engo. Like, he is not... The CS differential has not changed. It's been around 30-40 for the entire game ever since he hit level 6. He's continuing to farm up. He should be getting close to a second item soon. And off of that, that's when the Kayle starts, like, doing things. 3 items, level 16, is when Kayle is a full champion, and she's terrifying. She is absolutely terrifying late game carry. Right now, she's
Do you think we're going there?
I think we are.
Do you think... Okay.
I don't think 100 Thieves have snowballed hard enough to say that that's never going to happen.
And normally we'd have this conversation about late game scaling, and we'd say, well, 100 Thieves have the virus. And he's just going to start one-shotting people. But again, that's kind of a question mark, this patch.
Not even just this patch. I mean, against this composition that has 2 invulns,
Fair enough.
like, I'm not... Oh no, the Q's coming, I just hit R and it's fine.
And B.
This engage is not fine.
What is this? You do have the ult being blown from the dark. That'll save them, but Snapsy spent the ultimate onto Cal, who was invulnerable. They don't get the kill. Avi has to flash away from the front of the pipe, though, as Andy kites things back. He'll stay alive. Avi stays alive. Kenzie on no HP. Finally, Andy falls. And Cal has to burrow through this fight.
I don't like this re-engage here. Engo should not have come up for that flank. You try and save them with the ultimate, but that's just not worth the investment. And at this point, 100 Thieves can turn on to Baron. This would give them enough momentum to end the game before Kayle comes online.
This would give them enough momentum to take game 2 of this series any day of the week. There is no way to contest 100 Thieves off of a disastrous mid lane fight. We'll be grabbing the Baron.
All right, let's take a look at this fight again, because this was 100% over from the get-go. You have the teleport coming in from the top side. You have 4 people sandwiching on 3.
And they lived for so long. That was the heartbreaking part of that.
Well, you only live for so long because of the Taric ultimate, and Andy Benny's Fate's Call was fantastic and everything. But as soon as Tenacity does the Flash Claw, that's it. As Avi, you start running. As Engo, you don't even go for this. Like, you don't even run up there. Because he should have died there, I think. Like, if Auto had a Q still available, that was a dead Kayle. That was an ace.
If we have to draw criticisms of Radiance from that, I think it's, one, the lack of vision. Shouldn't be up that far forward, no clue that Candy can come behind you. But also, the weird re-engages. Like, the second we get that ultimate, the Taric ultimate, I just want to see people bailing, namely Andy. I want to see Andy trying to get as far away as possible and bring in somebody with him. Maybe leave, the Taric or the Olaf to slow things down. Eller.
I think Cal maybe should have made the call to suicide with the Fate's Call. Honestly, I think instead of going in for the knockup and playing safe defensively, I think you go in and you just look like an absolute moron and try and delay them as long as possible and get Andy out. Try and give him enough space away from Tenacity.
This gets dangerous. There's the redemption blown early to keep copying up. That'll keep Radiance in this fight, though, as 100 Thieves slow down to catch the redemption. Watch out, they're split here.
Oh, Auto goes back in. Beautiful play timing as well. Avi's in trouble. Oh, beautiful ultimate from Engo. Oh, doesn't matter.
Yup! In with the shockwave, catches 3. There's nobody to grab. Cow will follow up though. He's got the damage. He's slowed in by the base call. He'll find exactly one before he has to pop the ulti. Once he does, Copy can wail away from the backline though. And that's what makes this so dangerous. Engo inside the ultimate will go down. They've traded that for Copy, but that's not going to be enough. Andy has to go huge. He's already got one. He's still got Cow.
There's the triple.
That's a triple kill in the fight. Andy saves the day again for Radiance.
Oh, he's going back in. The cleanse. Auto, you may have bit off a little bit more than you can chew, my friend. Flash away. Andy Bendy trying to chase it down still. Doesn't have the rend available, so they're just going to go for this Drake right here. That's fantastic. Beautiful fight there from Radiance. I thought that was going to be the end of the game as soon as I saw Engo go down.
Andy Bendy, but he don't break. That's going to be a Drake. That's going to be Radiance in control. And I mean what I say. Watch Andy just get absolutely blown up in the first few seconds. He's having to play passing on, all the way in the back of this fight. And somehow he keeps himself relevant. Somehow he keeps power line, which is the most exciting part of this.
That was such a weird interaction. Like, I know why that works, why Avi made it over that wall. Well, as you said, that beautiful TP flank with the shockwave that I didn't even see. Just stunning. And here's the ultimate coming in from Cal and Andy. So now you have an invulnerable Callista in the front lines. And he's just jumping in, taking full advantage of the invulnerability.
And yet again, he's the only thing that can stop Tenacity.
Yeah.
Like, Tenacity is a monster right now. But this is another fight where he steps up and saves the day. We're going to throw right into live, by the way, because this chaos is still going on.
I think if Tenacity pulls down there for Cal and just they ignore Andy, that's a better fight for 100 Thieves. Because you say, all right, there's no way we get the AD carry. Tenacity diving in and dying there meant that they can't get anything else off that fight, no matter what. But if you leave Andy Bendy up...
Chat's pointing out, and I would like to say that this tracks. Copy, died weirdly in the jungle. I don't know if you caught that. Chat's pointing out he died to Grump. Show this to me. I was like, what killed him? Was there a Callista thing? No. It was Grump.
Thank you, Grom. Very cool.
Can I get the ribbit sound again?
Ribbit.
Thank you, man. Very cool. My god. We've got another banger on our hands, Matt. Radiance somehow bring this game back again after 100 Thieves pull this game back. Gold lead, kill lead still comfortably in the hands of 100 Thieves off of that Baron power play. But you can still see Radiance's win condition, as ever, Andy Bendy.
The one thing I would say, though, TJ, be careful about saying that Radiance are back in this, because they have Engo. He's not level 16 yet. They're still down 5k gold, almost 6k at this point. This is a really dangerous spot for them to be in. Once Varus finishes that third lethality item, he starts falling off a little bit, so that's sort of a saving grace. But if they keep taking fights like this, oh no, Andy's just going in for the engage.
All the way up to Copy. He's down to nothing in the backline. So you have the flank 110 all the way into this map. This is dangerous.
Andy Bendy still putting out the damage though. Tenacity found the ultimate, but not on Andy. Andy's still alive in the backline. The Kale ultimate to keep him up. Andy goes down. That's the end of the fight. Engo gets taken out as well. 100 Thieves, the double kill on Tenacity. This could just be the end of the game. TJ, it's not looking good.
No, it is not. If you are here for Radiance, you might want to start praying. Because 100 Thieves with the Baron up have just won a major team fight. They seem a little split. Half the team wanting to engage, half the team wanting to get Baron. That may very well work with the Trundle.
They have enough damage. They've gotten a Zero Mordekaiser and a Trundle, like you said. Like, they're fine. I would be careful if I were Jan, and wisely they back off of that. So they will get Baron. This won't be the full-on game end, but let's look at the position they're in. They're up 10k. They're up a Baron. The saving grace for Radiance. The way they get back into this game. Engo hits 16, they have Ocean Soul. But how do you get control over this dragon in the next minute? I don't think you do. And that's what Radiance have to figure out.
You into a Baron? Have to ask very nicely. Please, dragon, might bring a couple friends over. No! There's the big pellet.
Avi in trouble, pops the Ragnarok. Not going to take the Blast Plant. Because, fun fact, Ragnarok makes you immune to the blast plants, and I have seen someone try to save themselves in Ragnarok before with the blast plant. They're like, I got it, I'm fine, I'm fine.
It
Oh,
does
no!
still, it does still throw your opponents away though. You
Yeah,
can use
so
it
like
tactically.
that's the saving grace.
So because of that whole skirmish, the Radiance line gets pushed down. 100 Thieves say, all right, we'll just shove this wave in mid. You were talking about Drake control. 30 seconds on it, and Radiance are in base.
Look at the level leads here. Look at Copy versus literally anyone else in the game. First off, level 17. Avi's level 13. Andy's only level 14. This is really rough for Radiance just off levels, not including gold.
Oh my lord!
Varus Q still hurts, turns out, on this patch.
Blink, and you miss Avi. You'll live, but it's a tough thing. They're trying to hunt the kill here. Bait call. Copy says, no thank you. Your application for Nick Gage has been thoroughly denied.
But we can give you a Lost Dragon if you like one of those. We have one of those kicking around.
Sounds like an excellent deal. I'll take 2.
All right, excellent, because that's exactly what 100 Thieves have given to Radiance. 2 Ocean Drakes in a row now, and this is just, you know, dotting the I's and crossing the T's at this point for 100 Thieves. They have played a beautiful game up to this point. Radiance have tried to pull it back, but 100 Thieves stalled out until they could find the beautiful, beautiful miracle fight. And from there, they have just snowballed thoroughly onto Radiance.
Someone call Nunu. We got a snowball to roll into the base. 100 Thieves looking to close out day number 1, week number 1 of Challenges Uprising with not a bang, but a whimper. They look to seal the deal here against Radiance. Still do have 19 seconds on the Baron, but they've got all the time to work with. That's full 4 minutes before that Ocean Soul's dangerous again.
I wonder how close Engo is to 16. You'd have to think probably pretty close.
He's saying there's a chance.
I'm saying they've stalled out and they're going to have a level 16 Kale soon. I'm not saying that means they're in it. But like, it doesn't mean they're not in it. It's half level on the Kale. I'm trying to be positive, man. After last game, I'm not counting anything out. Normally I'd be like, over, it's done, see ya. But
after last game, you can't define a game as over the second it looks over.
No.
Baron steal while they're... Oh my god.
I thought NA
Never,
Amateur
don't
would
even
make
want
sense.
to talk about it. Don't even want to think about it.
I
It'll get
came
my heart
home,
rate
I was
going.
like, it's fine. Everything's fine. NA Amateur will make sense. I'll just kick around there and I'll look like my brain's big because I'll be right sometimes. No, my brain is very small. It's very few folds. It's like a balloon.
Okay,
Not a deflated
I
one,
look-
a fully inflated small balloon.
All right.
It's a kiwi.
You know what? You can bend that and make like a cute dog out of it, Matt. And I'm pretty sure that's what's going on in your head anyway. Just cute dogs. So
Yeah.
it all checks out.
Foxy's hiding behind the lamp case again.
I can see her. We'll have to show her off when we get out of this game. If we get out of this game. Because as you were talking about, there is still scale coming. There is still Radiance hanging out here. We've hit level 16 Kyle.
This is very banish you to the Shadow Realm energy. If we get out of this game, Yugi.
Oh! Level 16
Ultimate on
Kyle
the
takes it
Engo.
to the Shadow Realm. You summoned it back. Does he go win this?
Well, he has the ultimate, so he'll stay alive long enough for Tenacity to be forced out of it. There's the ultimate from the Tarek. Envy Bandy should have a lot of damage here on the front end of this fight.
Look at Tenacity's HP. Look at Kennedy's HP. Cal may go down here, but at what cost? There's already been so much done from the back lines with Engo and Cal done. You need to start doing work, Andy Bendy. He's found one pick. That was Copy. Now he's getting chased. Kennedy here. God kind him. Lantern will take him to safety. 100 Thieves aren't mucking about. They're playing very carefully. One inhib at a time.
They need to as well, because Andy is incredibly terrifying. It's 4 versus 3 at this point, but Radiance have the Nexus turrets on their side, so they may be able to make a last stand here. If they can stall this out on the back end, get the slow from the Rend, they might be able to turn this one, turn it into a little bit more kills.
Fox is dropped. That Lantern, I mean everything from Auto, that fight did so much work. The shot caller for 100 Thieves. The newly minted support for 100 Thieves. Role swapping into the role. And you wouldn't know it from this game. He's been impeccable.
Absolutely. And the thing about this team that's so impressive is 100 Thieves don't have a ton of team cohesion yet because a lot of them are just like been kicking around amateur. The only one with any academy experience or LCS experience, Auto has both, is Auto. The only one. Everyone else is just amateur only. So it's a lot of fresh talent, a lot of talent that's been kicking around for a while that maybe hasn't been given their chance, and 100 Thieves are like, all right, you're up. So far, getting their money's worth.
Here comes your Baron. And there it goes. 100 Thieves behind the firm reins of Auto. Back on the warpath. Inhibitors down in the mid and top lane. Baron in hand. I think they're going to take their time, make sure the soul can't get stolen out from under them. Truly dotting their I's and crossing their T's. Practicing some calligraphy here, Matt.
Underlining their names, writing the cute little heart above the I because the dot is just too boring.
Did you do that?
Did
you do that in high
No,
school?
but I did. So when I was a kid, I was like, my handwriting isn't pretty enough. So I tried to copy my classmate Laura's handwriting.
Shout out to Lara.
Yeah, and she did the circles above the eyes, so I did that for a while.
My
I was like,
handwriting,
Dad, my handwriting isn't pretty enough, so I'd practice my handwriting at home.
my handwriting is genuinely like I'm just carving dark magic runes onto pages.
Mine's actually like pretty good now. Mine's genuinely like, I've had people request I write them handwritten things because they like the way it looks.
You know
And
what?
I think
You've inspired me. I need to improve. Something good with your handwriting. Yeah. Oh my god, fate call all the way in. Cow into the back line.
it's fine. He's popped the ultimate. He's going to be fine. The ultimate from Tenacity's not going to find anything. Can be a little bit of a problem. There's the shockwave to follow it up. Cow's so low. Still alive in the fight, though. Tenacity getting a little bit lower, and he uses the cleanse. It's not enough to keep him alive. Young is low. He's in the zone. He has flashes away, but it shouldn't be enough to save him. TJ, this is going to be the end of the game.
The eyes have been dotted. The calligraphy has been completed. It's a complete ace. It's 23-13. No chances getting taken this time. 100 Thieves to close out the final game of day one here at Champions Uprising. It has been a long day of spectacular games, and 100 Thieves wanted to make sure this wasn't the last one. This was a clean and steady victory. A clean and steady 2 points on the board for 100 Thieves, who will close out the series. That's 2-0 in their favor.
What a game. Like, what a wild series that was. That didn't
What a
feel
wild
like
day.
a 2-0, TJ. I felt like a lot more of my life was taken off of the stress of that series than a 2-0. It was such a tight series.
I'm gonna book that as I can't believe that series was what it was. I can't believe 100 Thieves won that game. Well, that should have been a tight game. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. That should have been a tight series.
Yeah.
That does bring us to the close, I think. That does bring us to the end of day here as 100 Thieves close things out. I'd like to give a shout out, if you're joining us in the chat, to Holly, who did manage to drop us a host in order to show off Radiance, I'd imagine. We obviously love his support. We obviously love all of your support here in the Challenges Uprising chat. This is only day number one. We have a full season ahead of us. If you'd like more details on that, you can find them, of course, below the stream. I'd encourage you to follow us on Twitter. That's at challengers_up. Or you can find us in Discord. That's probably the best way to get a handle on things. We have incredibly stacked groups here. Possibly the best in NA Amateur. One of the biggest prize pools outside of, Academy and the LCS. That's $15,000 on the line over the course of the next couple of weeks.
What a fantastic day. That was the inaugural. Can you have a better day one of games?
No, you physically cannot.
Oh my god.
You cannot close that day better. This will be 2-0, as we talked about, to 100 Thieves next. They are the only team that got a 2-0 on stream today. That will rocket them to the top of Group B. I misspoke earlier. They get 3 points for a 2-0. The time we had in game number 1, of course, resulting in just 2 points passed either way. Poor Radiance, despite their efforts, will get nothing on day 1. Lots of work to do.
I think Radiance can come out of this one with their head held high, though. A lot of times when you take that 0-2 loss, it hurts. And I'm not going to say this one's going to hurt anyone less. Give them space of a few days, and I think they'll see how close they were to making this a 2-0 in their favor, if not a 1-1. Like, that second game was much cleaner from 100 Thieves next, but for a long while, Radiance were in control. And if they just closed it out a little bit faster, they would have had that win. So, incredibly tight series from both of them today.
An incredibly tight day. Of course, if you haven't been joining us, my name's been TJ, joined by Niberia. You can find him on Twitter, at Niberia, myself, at Esports TJ. Our production's been, of course, the wonderful Joe alongside Lauren. We're going to have a desk after this breaking down that final game and, of course, pointing you towards our next show. So don't go far. We have a fantastic set of analysts backing us up here on Challengers Uprising. And we have a fantastic set of games ahead in this season. At the risk of sounding like I'm closing the show, Matt, I couldn't wish for a better way to start, and I couldn't wish for a better game to end day number 1 here in the Challengers Uprising.
Me neither, TJ. I thought you were going to say I couldn't wish for a better co-caster, but I guess you just hate me.
Absolutely not. Don't go far. We got a desk ahead, then we'll close out the day. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next week.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and also thank you, massive shout outs to TJ and Iberia for the wonderful cast on the day for both of the series between TFT and New Esports, and of course, our last closing one between Radiance and 100 Thieves. Copy and Smacks, you know, we look through this series, it is a 2-0 clean sweep for 100 Thieves, but, you know, when we look at the series as a whole, you look at that bottom lane, and Andy Bendy was trying his heart out to try and put Radiance on his back to get at least one win, maybe even 2 wins had Kemby not gotten that Baron steal in game 1. So Smacks, just bring me through. How much of a Smurf is Andy Bendy?
Oh man, this big, I guess. We'll just keep going. I'll just stretch it across the street. This big is how big a Smurf Andy Bendy is. Crazy set of 2 games from him. First on the Ezreal, then the Kalista. This game in particular was ridiculous. Maybe just because we just watched it and the other one was 2 games ago. But this game was crazy. So he had so many fights where we were just bouncing around, just doing his Andy Bendy thing, hard smurfing. And there was that one play around the Baron pit where he actually did get shut down by Tenacity. He just insta buys the QS. He's like, I'm not having that happen anymore. I'm gonna keep smurfing, and he did. He had an incredible game on this Kalista, and I wish my Kalista was like that, man. That was crazy. I'll never be that good.
We all wish that we could get those Kalista games in our solo queue. And before you come in, Cubby, I want to bring up the first replay of that match. And for, Cubby, you can break this down a bit. The interactions, just how well Andy, Bendy, and Cal are able to play along against Yon and Otto in this bottom lane 2v2.
Yeah, I mean, the Kalista Taric is a very strong 2v2 that also scales really well. And while the Varus does have a good matchup into the Kalista, they were still able to do a lot of things in the team fights. And the one thing that I think is really interesting, like as we are prepping those replays for you, but is watching the Mordekaiser actually interact with this team. The fact that Tenacity went with the Mordekaiser, and a lot of these fights, he was ulting Cow away from Kalista, so he couldn't get Kalista ulted, takes away a little bit of invulnerability. Really takes out like a main staying piece for the rest of Radiance. But in these fights, man, despite all that, Andy Bendy was just doing work on this Kalista, making this Kalista look so incredibly broken. So props to him, and I really cannot say enough good things about Andy Bendy. And my question to the rest of Radiance is, like, who else is going to step up on this roster? Because we didn't really see that Kale pick pay off in the top lane. Avi, blind picking the Olaf when Trundle's still up is kind of questionable for me. And it feels like they just need one other member of this team to really step up, because Andy Bendy is doing everything he can to really pull his team across the finish line.
Definitely feels like that Andy Bendy is almost trying to run a solo mission in what should be a co-op mission at some times, because between him and Cal, they are just trying, as you said, everything. Andy Bendy is dodging as many skill shots as he can, and he's doing a pretty damn good job of dodging out on multiple skill shots from Tenacity.
Yeah.
Even some of the pillars are not doing as much work as they would normally do, but it just, in the end, you need the full support of all 5 members, and their impact from the side of Radiance just does not seem to match up to what Andy Bendy is doing to simply overperform in multiple occasions, Smack.
Yeah, and this fight was insane, because like Andy Bendy got chunked out, and then look at what he's doing at the back half of his team fight too. Like, still just putting down so much pressure despite being chunked out early. I mean, just crazy performance from him.
Yeah, this is exactly what I'm talking about here. Just hopping around, chucking those spears on in, able to just play the janitor role on this Kalista here. And yeah, exactly like we were talking about, those co-op missions here. We've got the Taric Kalista coming in, the iconic duo there. Same with the Ezreal and the Yuumi from the previous game. Of course, Taric is not attached to the Kalista in this one, but yeah. And then this is where the team fights just kind of insurmountable at this point. Tenacity is so fed on this Mordekaiser, and then they let Varus through, so that's exactly what's going to happen. You're going to have these arrows just pelting the back line, and everyone attached to this team. Varus just so strong, as we can see here. Even Yon just throwing those on in here. Completely untouched on the Varus, just watching him throw those in. Crazy champion.
Yeah, and it's really hard, like that's something that I usually look for when a team does let poke Varus through. How are you going to break that edge of night? How are you actually going to pressure this champion as the game goes on? And I really felt like Radiance didn't have any tools to do that. Young was getting zoned out. He wasn't able to pop that. They didn't have anyone who could flank. I feel like the Kale pick wasn't the solution, considering the fact they were going into that poke Varus. Yes, it might have been good for lane, but I mean, even, Tenacity at the top lane, he rushed that wit's end of the Andres and very much got the better of that matchup for the vast part of the early game.
Yeah, that Kale pick was something. Even during game, you all three of us were just kind of questioning how good of a matchup is that supposed to be, considering that that is a counter pick given over to Ango. But we all know that the way that 100 Thieves want to play is they want to play through topside. You know that Kemby is going to be camping around Tenacity, ensuring that he gets the way, or the lane advantage that he needs to be able to snowball. So, and your counter pick option is Kale, this champion that requires just as much attention from your jungler and any other team members that you can pull to be able to salvage so that she can get to level 16. This is a late game scaling champion that you can't just leave on weak side and say, hey, best of luck, we're going to make sure that Andy Benny gets ahead on Callista. And what is the thinking that, and you guys obviously have a closer relationship with Deo since you got to have him on your podcast a couple weeks back. What do you imagine was the thinking behind thinking, oh, Kale's a late game scaling champion. She's going to be playing weak side. This is fine.
I'm curious. I think that they thought if they got late enough, like they have that split push threat, so they might be able to play through one of the side lanes. But like into a trundle, it's really tough to get that Kale off the ground. And like you said, that Kenvy's going to be making a lot of visits to that top side. And we saw that in the early game. They split the map. They ganked Kale at level 3, level 4. They finally got her flash. And the fact that Engo actually saved his flash for those first few ganks, he was playing that very well weak side. And I know it's a specialty pick of his. It's a comfort pick of his. He's played it in Academy. He's very good at it. But I just don't feel like it was the answer for that game because, once again, how are you going to pressure the Poke Varus? There's no way that anyone on their team was ever going to even break that edge of Night in the first place. And you could see the safety that he had. It took just miraculous plays from Andy Bendy just to keep them in that game.
Yeah, and we saw so many ganks heading up to the top lane that he actually avoided quite well. Of course, he did die to that first blood, but that was not the only gank that went his way. Like you mentioned, there were maybe 3 or 4 other ones that he got out of even without his flash here. And it was even to the extent where they were able to take Rift Herald with Kale top lane here, which honestly, I'm quite impressed that Radiance were able to manage something like that. They caught 100 Thieves slipping right there. They were continuing to get those neutral objectives on the Olaf yet again. They got both those first 2 drakes, and usually when you're sacrificing your top side when you go for those drakes, but he still managed to get that Rift Herald. So I think there were still a lot of plays that could have happened, or that did happen, and that were beneficial here for Radiance. But yeah, I definitely agree. If you're still playing around this Kale, or not the Kale, if you're not playing around the Kale, if you're playing around the Callista, then it ends up looking like it did in those games. And yeah, I really just want to hammer down the same point that you had, Cubby, where if you're letting the Varus through, and like they had a game plan here, the game plan looked good. You just ban Varus at that point. You're on red side. It's the Varus tax. I don't see a reason not to ban the Varus here.
Yeah. And on that note, I do want to, as we are getting ready to wrap up the show here, 100 Thieves, they are clearly, the favorites that we're going into the series, and, we can't really speak as much what they should improve on apart from some mechanical errors from being able to not 100% execute those ganks on the Engo earlier on. So credits to Engo being able to outplay those. But for Radiance, Cubby, closing thoughts. What do they need to do? Because obviously Andy Benny is putting in a lot of work, but who do you think on Radiance needs to really step up in terms of trying to be that extra support that Andy Benny needs?
I want to see Avi, try and step up. We talked about him being a stud in collegiate. And it feels like this guy could be a budding superstar. He's still young. He's got a lot to learn. And hey, maybe this is the time that he, takes some of the reins and starts playing a little bit more free and has that bigger impact for his team and help Radiance get over some of the issues that they've had so far this season.
Yeah, well, just as someone who got to see Avi earlier in this prime, I definitely want to see some similar things as well. But, as we close out, we want to give a huge shout out to our amazing partner, Nike. It's just fantastic that they're helping us and supporting us with this, with Challengers Uprising and initiative. Thank you so much for continuing the development of esports. We love you all. And A big shout out to everyone who tuned into the broadcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you all next week on Challenges Uprising.